How's it going, guys? So this is kind of a follow-up video to my Should You Pull Dusk banner, since I mentioned in that video that there are some operators that are going to be buffed, and those operators includes AoE casters like Dusk. This is the full list of the operators that have been buffed in this current Chinese version of the game. Obviously EM will have to wait a bit, and I wanted to discuss some of these buffs and, you know, maybe change how my recommendation would be towards pulling Dusk right now or not, and so on. So let's begin with the buffs that we got. Now, first of all, let's talk about the medics. The medics category archetype that got buffed is these types of huge range, but when they're healing operators that are further away from them, they only heal like 70% of their attack. Now, they've been buffed so that they heal 80% of their attack when they're healing operators further away, so that's kind of better. It makes them more useful when they are further away, which is nice. Then there is the fact that they have buffed resistance. So usually, like Ceylon used to have 5 resistance at E1, like as you can see right now. She has now 10 resistance, which is pretty awesome. Also a small bump in attack, but it's very minor, so that one is pretty good. I see that they're trying to make like all medics a bit more balanced and more usable, which is great to see. Second is this elite killer, boss killer type of guards, but that are not like Helico, who deals 2 attacks at the same time. So the Chinese version currently has all of the archetypes separated out, and then like there's a lot of archetypes of operators, like 8 archetypes of guards now, and this is like one of them. So Helico is his own type, and then there's a lot of things, but currently there's no official translation, so I just stick with just explaining it. So operators like Scotty and Melantha, I think we're more accustomed to. I think we all know how they work. So these type of operators got a bit of buff in their attack and HP. So as an example, Scotty, at her max level, the buff depends on the level. At her max level, she gets about 200 HP and about 80 something attack buff, which is very insignificant, and I don't think that changes how Scotty works at all. She's just still that Scotty, never changed much. Melantha has been buffed, which is really nice to see as well, but you know, she was already good for a beginner who just started the game, and she's just better at it now. But late game, unless you're a 3-star warrior or something, you're not going to use them anyway. So this is a fine buff, but I wouldn't say it's like the most significant. Then there's actually 2 more archetypes. They're both casters, but the first one is the Chain Lightning type operators. The Chain Lightning type archetype casters have been buffed the most this time. So first of all, they got a buff to their base attack, which is very nice to see. There is a certain operator that is coming in the future that gets buffed by this as well, if you didn't see in the diagram before. But the attack buff is not as significant, so probably don't worry too much about it. Also, when the damage jumps between opponents, so you know how it's dealing like 25% less damage, that has been buffed a bit, so the damage decrease has been lowered a little bit, which is, you know, to be honest, not the biggest deal. The second thing is that the slow that they deal, the snare that they deal, from 0.2% has been now increased to 0.5%. So the slow or stalling ability is increased quite significantly, but their downside of high cost and actually still not that good of an attack is still there, so probably still wouldn't use them, to be honest. And the next operator that is coming, that is still the same archetype, he still isn't that good, sadly. Now, here's the main deal, the main topic, the main reason I'm making this video. We're talking about this, is that the AoE casters like Skyfire, Lava, the 3-star version and the 5-star version, they're the same thing. Mostima, Leonhard, Gitano, 12F, Grave, and Dusk. They all have increased attack and HP. That's it. Now, actually there is some more change to Dusk, but overall they get like not significant attack buff, not significant HP buff. Only Dusk gets a bit more buff in the summon. So as a lot of us know at this point, she will summon a freeling thing. Yeah, the name isn't really the most how should I say it, not the most intuitive, dare I say, but the freeling thing gets a buff so that its attack interval is decreased from 2.9 seconds to 1.9 seconds. It's got greatly increased defense and resistance from like 20 resistance to now 50 or something like that. So a great buff to the freeling that she summons. Not that big of a deal. So if you weren't gonna pull Dusk before because you didn't like, because of her strength, like obviously we're not talking about waifuness or something like that. If you didn't pull Dusk before because she wasn't like the strongest operator before, she's still not the strongest operator now. She's got buffed, and remember that I mentioned how Dusk is literally the strongest AoE caster that we have, excluding Ifrit. She's another type of operator, to be honest. She's our strongest AoE caster, and now she's just better. So if you had interest in AoE casters and you were, you know, hesitating to pull Dusk before because you feel like my opinion is so important to you, but you still wanted to pull AoE casters, well, I think there is a bit more reason for you to pull Dusk now, because she is getting significantly stronger, to be honest. The fact that her summon is so strong, like this is the biggest reason I mentioned, like I did mention how I love her, because her summon, right? Even though it's not the most controllable thing, it's still pretty strong. Yeah, I think if you were like on the edge of pulling Dusk, I think now you can give it a try. But if you weren't going to pull Dusk at all anyway, you still wouldn't be pulling Dusk. And if you've already pulled Dusk, why would you care? You should just be happy that she's got stronger in the future, and yay, free buff. So good. Alrighty, that's about this for this video. It's a short video. Don't want to lengthen it too much. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, sub if you want more content in the future. I just want to make these kind of videos from time to time, because, you know, even though I don't really want to spoil you guys of future CN content, I think that in terms of making your decision right now is very important. I want to help you guys to do that. So if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!